Hey everyone, welcome to the Secret Story CSI Driver community call. Today is June 9, 2022. This call falls under the CNCF Code of Conduct. It will be recorded and also published to YouTube. Please add yourself to the attendee list if you already haven't. I will help moderate the call today. Anyone else wants to take notes?
I can try today.
Okay. Cool. I think we have a very small agenda. So Dane's going to talk about the sync option PR that he has open. So he wants to talk about it and then also go through an example that he has. So Dane, the floor is yours.
Cool. Should I go ahead and share my screen?
Yeah, sure. Let me. Okay, I just made you co-host. Try sharing.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so I am on my work laptop and it's making me do system preferences. So just to avoid having to back out of the meeting and reopen it, I guess we can just look at your screen, Anish.
Okay.
So can we open the drop down that says Vault JSON response? Yeah, so this feature is to tackle when we mount full JSON object secrets. If I want to target anything that's in a nested JSON object, like in this case, .data has username and password. This feature just allows the user to target that path in the secret provider class YAML configuration file. So if we go scroll down a bit to the examples and then just open up the opaque example. In the configuration, this is, I put a little extra here just to demonstrate the functionality, but let's scroll down just a little bit. Yeah, that's good. But ultimately, like what we're trying to do is make it so that the user doesn't have to specify a path for every secret. So with the Vault provider specifically, if you don't specify a secret key for an object in the .spec.parameters.objects list, then it mounts the full JSON object that we saw before with the .data path. And with this feature, we could use sync options to target that path. So, and it goes based on a hierarchy. So here we could see at the top level, the JSON path that we're targeting is .bad.path. And then we can go down even further to the specific secret and target .data correctly. And we also specify that the format of that secret is JSON. So then the driver just knows that it should expect this mounted file to be a JSON object and which path to target. And then within the secret objects list, we can see the secret name DB creds. We can just target the keys from a top level. So just username and password. We don't have to, we don't have to specify .data, username, .data, password, just the top level keys that it should expect to find in the JSON object. And that's essentially the whole feature.
So for the HashiCorp Vault one, so I know they have templating today, right? Do you know if, so they use that template for mount, right? Like when they actually write it to the mount, they extract the JSON and write it to individual files. Is that what they do?
Yeah, it's the full JSON response from their REST API. They just mount it as is. But this feature would work for like the AWS provider who also allows users to mount JSON objects.
Right,
So-
but when they actually mount, do they extract, like, do they take individual keys from the JSON and write as separate files? Like, if there is a JSON blob which says username is this and password is this, do you know if the AWS templating does that split it and pass it as two different files?
So it's been a while since I looked at the AWS one. So what I know from Vault is that if you specify a secret key in the objects list in the parameters, then it'll target each of those keys individually. So it does a loop and it requests those specific key value pairs and then mounts it as a plain text file. And when you don't have the secret key, it mounts the full JSON object for that path that you specify. I can't remember off the top of my head the exact behavior with the secrets manager on AWS. I just remember that they had their own solution for targeting key value pairs and JSON objects with their own provider, but this is supposed to like make it so that the driver handles that for all secrets managers.
Right. So I can see this one, the sync options adds it specifically for syncing as Kubernetes secret, right? I'm just curious to see if there is a scenario where users also want the files that those are returned to be each individual file. So if it's a JSON, they want us to extract it. Like, and I'm curious if AWS is actually doing that today.
Oh, so you're saying like, is there a way we can make the driver before mounting the files as the JSON object to actually extract the key value pairs and mount each of those as their own
I'm
individual?
wondering if that is a use case. Like, this is fine to start off, like sync options, but so this one is specifically targeted for Kubernetes secret. But I wonder if there is a use case, like, because I know AWS folks had a feature request, but I don't know what exactly they did in their implementation, right? Like whether the templating was because users wanted the files in the mount to be individual, or they just wanted sync to have this. So AWS is splitting it just for the purpose of sync, like just to understand why, whatever they're doing today.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but I think in terms of what you have in the issue, like the description is good and the examples are plenty. So like we can take a look, and then I will also look at the AWS implementation to see what they are doing. If there are things that might benefit being in the driver, I will add as a comment here from my side.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Sorry. I have one question, like, and maybe I missed on it, but so I'm curious, or actually I'm sort of trying to understand how driver sort of parses the responses from a different provider. So for example, are we expect, let's say Vault and AWS to return a similar type of response, for example, or similar type of response hierarchy, for example, like, is it data for everything, or is it something that we specify in the driver? And I mean, when we specify in the driver, we expect to know that this is how the provider is gonna return it, and then and that's why this is the path.
Yeah, so like for this specific case, this would just be like any provider can send back a full JSON object that can be mounted to a file, and then we just tell the secret provider class which path on that JSON object to target specifically.
Correct. So sorry. No, so yeah, I think in a nutshell, probably what we can say is when user write secret provider class, they are expected to know what response they're expecting from the provider and then specify the path accordingly.
Yeah, the user should know what the file is going to look like.
Correct. Yep, that's what I'm trying to confirm. Thanks.
Nilik, do you know for the issue that was opened in the Azure provider repo, did they want the JSON to be extracted only for the sync secret, or were they looking for values in the mount?
Sorry, can you come again? What do you mean by volume? I didn't get the last part basically.
Did they want us to extract the keys from JSON and write that in the file system as individual files? Like, did they want us to write username, password separately, or did they just want us to extract and do it in the Kubernetes secret?
Right. I need to double check, but I'm pretty sure they just wanted the extraction part of it.
Only for Kubernetes secret part.
Yes. Oh, wait. There are I think there are two different issues. One is for the extraction, and I think there is one more just for the templating, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it is probably for the extraction. I need to check again.
Yeah, I think AWS is the one that currently supports like all of it. So maybe we can see what they're doing and if we can address that here. And then we can also see if what other issues have been open in other providers regarding this part. And then if it's all only for sync Kubernetes secret, then I think that's fine. But if users are also requesting for mount, then maybe we can extend this for that as well. Like with templating. But yeah, I think in terms of next steps, like we can look at the PR and then we will also just look at what the other providers are doing and then comment here based on that, comment on the issue based on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Thanks, Dan. This is, I think, the most detailed PR I have seen, or like the description, like really, really, really clear. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have an example for everything and you've explained
Right.
that heavy stuff.
Yeah. I think we should just extract all of this and also put it into our documentation somewhere, or fit something somehow. This is really good information.
It's good for myself too, just because like if I don't look at my own work for a month, there's a good chance I've forgotten some of it,
It's a good idea.
Good. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else that we have for discussion. I think the rest of it we went through last time.
I think we're targeting release next week.
Right.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Let's see if there's anything in test grid that we need to worry about.
By the way, feel free to point me out if I'm missing anything from the notes.
Yeah. The post submit looks good. Periodic is also fine. I think there's just one failure.
Issues and PRs are okay, I guess. Okay, but yeah, maybe.
Do we still need this PR, Dan? Like now that you have the other one?
I don't think so. I think I can just close that later today.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, for this one, I did request changes, but I still haven't heard back from them. This one, I think we can trigger the checks. Like I think this is for a Helm fix, so we can include in the next release.
Right.
And this one is Dane's PR. I think this one we probably will close this because we discussed last time that we don't want to have plain text values in secret provider class. Right. I think Tommy already commented on the issue, but
okay. I think one of the responses was like let the provider handle it.
Right.
So exactly. If they are handling it, then we don't have to do it.
Yeah. So I think Tommy's following up there. And I think he already has, he's trying to add it in the GCP provider.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
because this particular user who requested for it also is using the GCP plugin. So
Correct. Yep.
okay. I think that's it pretty much. Anything else that you all want to discuss?
I'm good.
Oh,
Sander.
actually, I think Xander is new on the call. Hey, Xander. Do you
Hello.
want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I was on this one once before, but it was like my third day at Microsoft. So I've got a little more context now.
Oh. Xander is like very well known in the community.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna Phil is probably gonna roll off of these calls starting with the next one, and I'll just help facilitate wherever is needed.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, and so we are planning the 1.2 release next week, and then post 1.2 we will do the planning for 1.3. Like, so right now in terms of planning, it's just some of us folks getting on Zoom call and doing it, but we can do like a formal planning process like once the 1.2 release is complete. Like we
Yeah,
can
sounds
invite
good.
everyone. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I think that's it. Thank you everyone for joining. We will meet again in 2 weeks, I think on 23rd.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.